Hey brothers and sisters, I am going to walk with you and talk with you for a quick second. Something last minute came up, and you saw the last video of the whole Shunning vlog. Well, I reached out. Whoa, I don't know if you can see this, this little caterpillar right here. Look at this guy. I think I have him in focus. That's cool. We're just going to walk and talk. Last vlog, I sat down and talked about, maybe, and if this is your first time watching, I grew up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, currently being shunned by almost all of my friends and family that I grew up with, which is like 99.99% of them. And I started thinking about all the things that my mom told me when we were growing up is, worldly family, they're worldly, we have to not have a bad association with them because they aren't the nicest people. Well, since trying to regain contact with my mom did not work out at all. She told me she didn't want to be seen with me in public. Even a friend of mine that I spent several years growing up with reached out to me. He found my YouTube vlogs, was very excited. He talked to the elders, and they told him, what you're going to do is destroying your family life. So, very sad stuff. I decided that, as someone who always wants to see both sides of the story, why don't I take my own advice? So, in that, taking my own advice, part of that is, well, maybe the worldly family that my mom grew up telling me about isn't so bad. Maybe they are bad. She's told me a lot of things, and I don't even know what to believe anymore because I don't know. I don't have any solid evidence. I've only seen this family less than a handful of times my entire life, over 2 decades, so I'm gonna go find out. I spent some time on Facebook. I didn't even know their last names. I don't even remember who's my uncle, who's my aunt. The only one that I knew and had contact with was my grandma at one point because we took care of her for a while when she had a stroke. That's the only real worldly contact I've had with my family on my mom's side. So I reached out through Facebook. It's been a week later. I got so far a positive response from one of my, I guess he's my uncle. I'm going to go find out. He's my uncle. I do know for a fact that he's blood related and it's not seeing some creepy stranger, but I'm going to go drive in the Bay Area and go have lunch or coffee with them right now and find out. I'm hoping, if they aren't the nicest people in the world, that at least they'll be understanding. I have a lot of questions to ask them, like, why didn't you reach out? Did you guys know this was a cult? Because if it is, we got to do something. Tons of questions. I don't even know where to begin. So I'll be doing that today. And I wanted to do, I wasn't going to film it, but I grabbed my camera and I was like, you know what? I got to share this experience with you guys. We don't know what's going to happen. So that's why I'm here sharing it with you. Wish me the best. I'll update you as soon as I find out more. I'm really hoping for the best. I'm hoping that my family is really cool. I don't even know anybody. I have a few names in my head. Seen these people maybe less than half a dozen times in my life for forced family get-togethers. And they always said that they would, be there for us. But my mom and I would always give each other glances like, nope, they're worldly people. We can't have association with them. So we would shun them. So now I'm going to find out what this is all about. Okay, hi. Hi, man. Do I have an update for you? I didn't think that things would get this interesting this quick. Or slow. I don't really know how to look at it. This is the next vlog in me trying to figure out and find some answers. As you guys already know, or if you're new to this channel, then I was born and raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I didn't have the choice to choose whether I wanted the religion or not. I was born into it, and I thought that it was the greatest thing ever until about 8 to 10 months ago. And in that time, I realized, oh shit, my family and friends were involved in this cult, this high mind control group that murders people and takes away their human rights and strips them of who they are and destroys anything fun that they have growing up. And realizing that, I was like, oh my God, I need to do something. And I tried to reach out to my family, and the only family that I have that I grew up with were my mom and my aunt. Now, my mom is currently shunning me along with the other 3,000 plus people that I grew up with that were Jehovah's Witnesses, and my aunt lives on the East Coast, so I don't see her very often. And I talk to her every once in a while, but my mom completely, she found out about the YouTube channel, doesn't want to have anything to do with me currently at the moment, and I feel extremely numb from all of that. But I'm not giving up. I'm still searching for answers. And there was a couple of comments that were left in previous videos about, hey, why don't you reach out to some of your family on your mom's side? Family on my dad's side, I never met them. I don't even know who my dad is, so there's that. But my mom's side, I think I've seen them a total of maybe less than a dozen times throughout my 20 plus years of growing up. So I have no real clue of who they are. And then in the last clip that I just rolled, I just met my uncle, and I found him through Facebook. It literally took me like a few hours of searching because I could not remember his last name, and I wasn't even sure if he was my uncle. I didn't even know, because growing up we're taught, don't have association with worldly people, bad association spoils useful habits, all these scriptures that were misinterpreted to shun people and tear people away from their families. Which is exactly growing up when I was like, oh, but people don't understand, they need to read the Bible and see what it actually says. And then now that I know that those scriptures are completely misrepresented, because of some of the comments were along the lines of thinking that I was starting to allow myself at that point in time to do. If you didn't grow up in a cult, there's a lot of things that you have to, number one, get away from that cult, and free thinking will start to kick in a little bit. And if you're once you allow yourself mentally, and you've had enough time away from that church, to start doing some critical thinking. So in this case, it was my time to do some critical thinking and be like, whoa, I need to reach out to my family on my mom's side to get their side of the story, because that's kind of how I'm trying to live the rest of my life, is get both sides of the fence on whatever it is that I do, whether it's maybe a girlfriend, I want to know as much about her before I ask her to be my girlfriend. Or maybe it's, shoot, a TV that I'm going to buy, or a laptop, or whatever it is, the latest phone. I need to do research on everything to the best of my ability. So I reached out on Facebook to Wayne, my uncle. I couldn't even remember if he was my uncle because I'd only seen him a few times throughout my life. And the last time I saw him might have been 5 to 7 years ago, maybe longer. It's when my grandma had a stroke, and we had to take her in for rehabilitation, and we got her, functional again. She had lost half of her body function, a bunch of stuff that forced kind of our families to see each other again. And I remembered that to have two uncles, Wayne and Lee, they told me, they're like, hey, we love you guys. We're always here for you. You're always invited over. If you ever need anything, reach out to us. So I did. And I didn't hear back for like a day or two, and I was like, shoot, maybe this family is as evil as my mom made them out to be. And then I got a message on Facebook saying, hey, which is crazy because I don't even use Facebook that much. Like I check it like a couple times a week, if that, and it's mainly just to keep in touch with some worldly friends that I had from home, or some ex-J-dubs, mainly for the ex-Jehovah's Witness groups that I'm a part of, because I check those pretty often, actually, more than a couple times a week. And he reached out to me, and at first I wasn't sure from his messages. He's one of those guys that puts like ... after, before and after every sentence that he says. So it's almost, I don't know how to take that, if that comes off sarcastic or like they're wasting your time or some shit. Wayne, if you're watching this is directed at you. That's how that comes off. But he agreed to meet halfway. He lives in the Bay Area. I'm in Northern California, pretty much the Bay, and we met halfway at a freaking BJ's. It's not my favorite place to go to, but it's got decent food. I'm not going to complain about it. Whatever. It's not even part of it. And if you're from some place that doesn't have BJ's, yeah, I know the name. I would like to sit here and tell you it stands for Bartles and James or something like that, but I have no idea what BJ's actually stands for. Met with him. We literally spent the last 4 hours talking, and like an hour and a half into it, then we ordered food. But we kind of got right into it. It was like, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Good to see you. When I saw him, I walked in. I wish I could have had a camera like strapped to my back or a GoPro or something, because I was nervous. I saw him. I recognized this picture from Facebook, and I was like, hey. And he just got right up and he just gave me a huge hug, and I hugged him, and we sat down and we started talking, and he answered a lot of questions for me. Didn't answer all of them, but he answered a lot. And I'm actually sitting in the parking lot right now. This is just minutes after me saying goodbye to him. We talked about, my mom disappearing when she started getting involved with Jehovah's Witnesses. They didn't know that much about it. They just had a feeling it was some kind of crazy religion. But from his side of the story is that he told me that they knew that this is something that she wanted. They thought that this was her decision, even though they didn't know. I made it clear to him that it was an undue influence and an uninformed decision without informed consent. So she was suckered into it. She was a target. And he agreed with me. He felt like that's what it felt like. I asked him, I was like, why, after probably a good hour or two into it, I was like, why didn't the family have some type of intervention? Because he did admit to me that he feels like this is a cult. And I was like, yeah, that's because it is. It's a cult. It took me probably the last 6 to 7 months to actually fess up to my own personal self, to allow myself to say this is a cult. Because I grew up defending it, trusting it, and loving it, and saying that it wasn't. And now I'm learning how deep the rabbit hole goes and all the evil things that it's done and it continues to do. And I guess from his side of the story, I haven't talked to the rest of the family. I guess apparently I have lots of cousins that I don't know about. My mom never had any brothers and sisters. For me, never had any siblings, because she didn't want to have kids in the system, because she couldn't bear the thought of losing another kid, and then never seeing him in the new system, which is a lie that we're all taught. And if you have questions about that, I'll link some scriptures in the description below or something, or come out with a video that explains it. And he's a Christian man himself, I guess, nowadays. I was able to ask him a couple of thought-provoking questions on the Bible, things that I don't agree with. I positioned it in a nice way and got him to think. He's like, oh, that's a really good point. I'll get back to you on that. There's a lot of scriptures in the Old Testament and the New Testament that are starting to bother me as someone who's not sure what he is anymore. But he answered a lot of really good questions for me, and he didn't answer all of them. There's a few of them that I'm still kind of scratching my head over. Especially, I'm now second guessing some of the stuff that my mom taught me, and I'm gonna try to be as open-minded as I can be in meeting my new family. 20 plus years of not meeting them or having very much association with them, and he immediately invited me to an upcoming birthday party. So hopefully I'll get to share and vlog some of that and get some of their opinions, because they literally got to see, their niece or their sister or their granddaughter disappear into this religion at the early age of her early 20s. I think my mom was like 21 to 23, somewhere around there, when she got involved. And when she ran away from that family, they provided everything for her, a place to stay, a job, a new family, and they gave everything to her, which is, unfortunately, to this day, it's now plunged her in a massive depression, and she's now lost her son to the world. But the number one thing that I want is to get her back, and they want her back too. One of the questions I asked is like, why didn't you guys, if you knew that she was in a cult, because he admitted he felt like it was a cult, and I confirmed with him it is a cult, why didn't anyone do some type of intervention? And he sounded pretty much like he wasn't aware that there's undue influence and that there's uninformed consent. He didn't seem like he was aware of that. He thought that it was a conscious decision that everyone makes. And then if you ask any current members, or if you asked me before I got baptized, yeah, it was a conscious decision that I was making, like, this is what I want to do. This is not the church forcing me to do it. This is not the Bible forcing me to do it. This is my decision. And of course, they grasp spoon feed these words to you. Hey, what up, spoon fed no more, if you are watching. Missed your videos. It was a Canadian girl. She was one of the first ones that I started watching when I was waking up. So what up? Thanks for making your videos. I hope to see more. All right, so I had to reshoot some of this. It looks like when I was down in the Bay Area, one of the clips either didn't record or it got lost or deleted or something. So I'm skipping ahead about a week or two and fixing this right now and talking a little bit about where I left off. There were some questions that I feel need to be answered from my Worldy family, and I'm gonna find out, and I'm super curious to figure this out. My uncle seemed really genuine. I didn't really detect any, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I didn't really detect any, like, him being facetious or him being, like, misleading or anything. It seemed genuine, and it does kind of mind boggle me a little bit that nobody really seems to, and this is just an assumption on my part, have like Googled Jehovah's Witnesses cult and similar cults and figure out like, hey, this is our family member, what's going on. They just all stayed under the assumption that this is her choice, whereas I don't know, maybe it's just because I've been through it. Pretty much every religion that I come across, I'll Google that religion plus the word cult, or look at any books or literature that's around it, or any ex-members. Those are the first ones I generally want to talk to, because I want to have both sides of the story, not just the pretty picket fence, the white picket fence. I want to see everything so I can make a better decision and understand what I'm getting myself into. Just like, a gym. If I'm going to pick out a gym, I like to work out. I want to take a tour. Plus, I want to talk to some of the members there. Plus, I want to, get a feel and work out there for a few days and get the vibes of the place, so I can make a better decision. Well, I honestly think it was another 10 minutes of footage of me rambling on in the video, and I can't remember exactly what I said. I apologize about that, but there's more of this coming soon. Really excited to share that with you guys. Apparently the comments pointed out that I do this a lot and I touch my face, so I thought that was interesting. I'll try not to do it so much. If you guys have questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. Every once in a while I'll see a comment that comes through that's a really, really good question, or something I've kind of thought about or not really gone into because I just assumed that I knew a lot about it, or assumed that other people didn't know. But when you guys ask questions, sometimes I will try my best to make a video or follow up with some kind of answer. But let me know. If you like this video, definitely leave a thumbs up, subscribe so we can stay in contact and I can keep delivering awesome content to you. And if you know anyone that might be ready to make that change, or might be ready in that point in their life to take this kind of information in, please share this content with them. Let them know that they're not alone, their pain is real, their struggle is real, and that our friends and family members are worth fighting for. Until then, brothers and sisters, I'll see you in the next video.